name is Bethany. I host the Capital K Knitting podcast, and I have a video to share with you today. First, I wanted to introduce Vera. She is the newest addition to the knitting room. She is the guardian of the minis, and I'm just so happy to have her here. I've wanted an aloe vera plant for probably 10 years, and she's gonna stay here for a while. I'm so excited about it. And then this, what I'm wearing is the Malweena Sweater. It's a test knit by Alex of Vert and Rose. She's going to be releasing that soon, and so if you're listening to this before April of 2022, it hasn't been released yet, but if you're listening to it after, I'll make sure to put a link to the pattern in the description box below. Today's video is about what I've learned about my identity since starting knitting. I know that might be a little deep, but I've been watching different videos about what other knitters wished they'd known before they started knitting, or what they've learned since they've started knitting, and it's a lot of technical jargon and preferences, and that's great. Those definitely are needed in the video world. I've learned a lot from watching those about, even if someone else's preferences are different than mine, knowing their opinion on a certain project or a certain technique actually informs whether or not I would want to do it or not as well, because of knowing what my preferences are. So, but as I've been watching some of them, I don't necessarily agree with what I wish I'd known when I started knitting, because I think that whole learning experience is part of it, you know, not knowing about all the different needle sizes and all the different needle brands and all the different yarn weights and how they can be placed together and different fiber content and how you can work with all of that and what's best for blocking this or steam blocking that. And I just think it's fascinating, and I wouldn't want to skip that part of what I've been learning. I feel like it's a huge factor in the enjoyment of the practice of knitting, is learning how to care for and even prepare for my projects. And yeah, I really enjoy it. So I don't wish I had known anything before I knew it, but there are some things that I've been mulling around that I thought would be helpful to share. And all of them revolve around identity, and I am wanting to share this with you. So the first thing is, I am a person who often avoids feeling the feels. I know that feeling emotions is important, and often not choosing to delay feeling them actually delays the resolution of those feelings as well. They don't just go away. And processing your feelings and feeling your feelings are two different things. And I love processing them. I think it's fascinating, but feeling them, not so much. However, I am able to knit through all the feelings. So whether I am sad, or whether I am in joy, or whether I am angry, or whether I am just stressed out, I can knit through all of that. I know that for some people, when they're not really feeling like picking up their knitting at all, that's a sign to them that they are really down, or maybe going through a depressive episode. And I think knowing that about yourself is really key to taking care of yourself, being aware of what your tendencies are. For me, I notice a lot of aggressive knitting, it's just really different, and my tension really changes depending on how I'm feeling that night. If we watch something scary, I knit fast and tight, and sometimes that's not great. I have to look at it and go, oh, I hope that'll shift around when I block it. But knowing that I can make something beautiful even in times of despair and overwhelm and even just anger, just being mad about stuff, is really wonderful. Sometimes the one comfort of going through something that feels really yuck is that I made something beautiful during that time, or that I learned a new technique during that time, or that I got a ton finished in this project during that time. And that's it. Like, that's the only thing that was good that came out of that situation. The second thing that I've learned is that often when we are knitting or crafting or doing anything in our projects, we are often trying to escape. Whether it's escape a certain feeling, or escape the world in general, or escape a social gathering. Often we're trying to escape, and in some situations we're actually trying to escape ourselves. And it's impossible to do. And so often I'll find myself frustrated with something in the world. Like, I'm frustrated with my lack of perseverance, or I'm frustrated that I have a perfectionism tendency or an obsessive tendency and just want to be, a certain way when I'm not. And then I'll be working on a project, and whatever it is that I'm frustrated in that moment with outside of my knitting usually creeps its way into what I'm working on. So we can't escape ourselves in our projects, but knitting is a really easy way to work through some things because it's just knitting. So as I'm telling myself that I want to finish this cardigan, that I actually do really want to finish soon, I don't have to finish it tonight. And I don't have to finish the last row of this color tonight. Even though it would feel like a really nice stopping point, even though it would feel like I finished a step, I don't have to do it. I don't have to do it tonight, and I don't have to stay up till 1 in the morning to get to whatever arbitrary deadline I've set for myself. I can just go to bed. And that's one of the things that I struggle with a lot, is getting far enough or doing well enough or doing enough of anything to be able to tell myself that it was a good day, I got enough done, I did it well enough, and I can go to bed. It's a daily struggle. And so being able to look at the knitting and say, this is just knitting. It's okay. I don't have to get that last row of color done. I can do it in the morning. In fact, I do some of my best knitting in the morning. It's probably better for me to leave it for the morning and to put it aside and be able to wake up in the morning. I was actually really proud of myself that I did that the other night, that I thought, no, I don't have to do this. I put it away, and it was 11 o'clock, but I put it away, and I woke up the next morning really proud of myself that that last row of that color wasn't done yet, because that meant that I had had some victory, a small victory over a part of myself that I must train daily if it's not going to be harmful to me. Another part of that escaping myself thing that I deal with, and you might identify with this, or maybe it hits you in a different way. I struggle with ADHD in my life. And when I say struggle, sometimes I feel like it's a superpower, and sometimes I feel like it's just hard to express. Sometimes I feel like it's a kink in my brain. And because of that, I'm learning how to make my knitting accommodate my brain and not to try to do it the other way around. Some of the designs that I'm really drawn to, that are really attractive to me, are classic designs that have a lot of stock in it or a lot of the same stitch pattern in it. And that I know now will not keep my interest forever. So either I probably have to modify it a little bit to help it keep my interest, or I need to let myself be able to work on it for an extended period of time. That when I'm bored with it, I can put it aside and it's okay. It doesn't make me a bad person or a person that doesn't finish things or a person who, isn't able to persevere. It just means that I don't want to work on it right now, and I don't have to. I can work on what I want to work on because there's lots of yarn and lots of needles, and it's just knitting. It doesn't always have to be a statement on my character because of where I am in some project. The third and last thing that I've learned since knitting has a lot to do with identity and community. So I have hesitated in some of my videos to share some of my thoughts or some of my beliefs because our world is kind of crazy sometimes in attacking people for what they believe or even for their preferences, like knitting preferences. I'm not even talking about lifestyle preferences, just even small things in the world. And because I'm a scaredy cat on the inside, I have hesitated quite a few times in sharing what I think or what I believe, even if it would have been helpful to someone else probably. But the thing that I'm finding, which I know to be true everywhere else in the world also, is that being authentically who I am makes room for other people to be authentically who they are. It encourages other people to show up with all of who they are. We're losing the sun here. With all of who they are, instead of just the piece that they think will be accepted. Because I accept who I am and can be all of what I am and show up that way, it's more likely that you'll accept all of who you are, know that there are people like you around, and that we can have more of an actual community instead of just a fake, I hope they like me type of community. That's the end of today's video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and leave a comment about what you have learned while knitting, whether you're a beginner or whether you are quite advanced. I'd love to hear what your experience has been and what your big takeaways are. Bye.